Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening and what's going on today? What are we talking about? Man, we are just following the path of purpose today, discovering your God-given purpose, a biblical approach. And so today, here's what you're going to take away. You're going to take away that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what trials and tragedies you may have experienced in your life, there's a purpose. There's a reason. There's something that's already been seen in the spiritual realm. So today we're going to look at that. We're going to go to the Word of God. And we're going to check out what the Word of God says about purpose and about the end, and about all the things that we may be confused about. Today we're going to dive into that. So let's jump right in. So when you discover your purpose, what happens? Think about it. I want you to write that question down. When you discover your purpose, what happens to you? Like, do you all of a sudden change? Do you all of a sudden get fired up like me? I'm fired up here. Like I could have just been sitting here doing one thing, and then as soon as I realize, I'm jumping into my purpose. Let me run. Like yesterday, we talked about David running towards the problem. He was running like what? There's a big old giant. Here I come, baby. Here I come. I'm gonna take you down. See, purpose is given. No one has to worry that they don't have like that you don't have one. It's already given. God has already given. And when we jump into the word, what we're going to see, we're going to Jeremiah. What we're going to see in Jeremiah, we're not going to read the whole story, but Jeremiah was sending a letter. He sent a letter to all the people, all of his people that had gotten carried off and taken as captives into Babylon. They were taken as captives. Come on, think about this. Okay, for all my African Americans who have a past, our ancestors' witness was carried off into slavery. Carried. Yes, we were. But here's the thing. No one talks about the purpose. No one talks about the similarities. What do you mean, Jay? Okay. Now, we're not really talking about the Israel in the 400 years that God prophesied, that Israel would be enslaved for 400 years. What happened to the black folks? 400 years of slavery. But no one talks about the purpose that was the 400 years behind that. See, just because people were taken into slavery, just because they became captives, didn't cancel the purpose that God had already decided for them. I sent a text message out to both my sons this morning, and as I was communicating with Jacob, because I talked to them different, so I'm not going to say the same thing to both of them. So I said something to Jacob. And it was specifically on the fact that he's in culinary school, and it seems like he chose that. It seems like this is what I'm gonna do. So God already knew that. God already knew what you wanted. God already knew where you'd be. God already knew what was going to happen. And so I told him, I says, look, even though it seems like you chose it, God already saw it. God has already chosen you for something with that. So when we look at purpose, it looks like I'm kind of in control of things. Yes, you are, because God gives us free will. But God knows the beginning from the end. God knows that even though there's a problem today, even though there's a challenge today, even though there's some situations that we don't want to deal with, or even though things are going great, Even though he's just like, well, I still know what I said about you. So when you're looking to discover your God-given purpose, is to know this. There's no circumstance, there's no situation that can keep you from it unless you just decide you don't want it. Because God's not gonna force you to do anything. God's not gonna say, hey, I decided this for you, so you got to do it. No, it's when you come under the awareness that it's time. It's time. It's time to do something. And in Jeremiah chapter 29, it says this. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." See, what is God saying? Or what, not even God, what is Jeremiah saying? Because Jeremiah wrote this. And so he wrote this letter, and he's sending this letter to the people saying, look, God already knows what's going to happen. Like, he already knows what's going to happen. So really don't worry. But then I'm going to use a but, because he said this. And then he says in verse 12 and 13, then. Anytime you get these transition words, these buts, these, these thens, it's like, well, that's going to happen. So then this is what has to happen with it. Then you'll call upon me. See, what God is saying through the prophet Jeremiah today is that, all right, I know the expected end, the plans to prosper you, like in another version of the text, it says the plans to prosper you. So let's go ahead and use those words. If God said he's going to prosper you, he's going to give you the desires of your heart. If he said that he's going to do that, would you take him up on it? Ask yourself that today. Okay, God, you're going to prosper me. You're going to give me the desires of my heart. Okay, what do I need to do? That's usually the first step. That's usually what people say. Like if I came to you and say, hey man, I want to give you something. Okay, well, and it's something that you want. And then you'll just say, well, what do I need to do to get it? All right, here's what you do. Because he doesn't leave us hanging. He says, then you will call upon me and you will pray unto me. Stop right here. You pray unto me. That means you will open up the windows of heaven. You will allow the windows of heaven to open up and listen to you. You will then start communicating and building a relationship with your Father. So think about this. You have to build a relationship. Like, it's weird because I love my dad. And, but my dad grew up and he was born in the 40s, 1941. And his father was born in the early 1900s. And then his father was born in the 1800s. And his father was born in when I look at the family line and I look at where my father was, there was things that he just wasn't going to know. Just like there was no, fathers just beat their kids, told them what to do. That's pretty much it. That's what fathers did back then. And so when I look at how my father was a father to me, what I can take away is that he worked. He made sure that he did that. He never was not working. And he may have had 2 jobs. Like he made sure that he brought his check home. He made sure that whatever was needed, he did whatever he had to do with the resources that he had. So when I look at my father and I look at, the fact that I had to take some cues from my father, working, then I had to take another cue from my father. This is what I learned from my dad. I learned how to pray. I learned how to build a relationship with God through prayer. I learned that. And because I learned that, then now I can take that. I can show my kids, but more importantly, I can teach them from a different level how to discover their God-given purpose. And then it says, as we close out these verses, it says, I will hearken to you. Listen to this. I'm going to hear you when you pray. I'm going to listen to you when you pray. I'm going to be inclined to want to do something when you pray. And you will seek me. Think about this. He says he's going to give you the desires of your heart. He says he's going to prosper you. Then you go to him, you start praying, and then he's hearing you. But then, because you know he's hearing you, you continue to seek after him. And then you're going to find him. When you shall search me with all your heart. So he's saying you're going to find me when you search with all your heart. That's in the Gospels. That's in the Gospels, God. Like, asking it shall be given, seeking you shall find, knocking the door will be open. So you have to go for it. If you want to discover your God-given purpose, you actually have to go looking for it. Here's a spoiler alert. Run a spoiler alert. You don't have to go far to look because it's right there. Before you try and think of something outside of you, think of something inside of you. Write down your life. Earlier this year, I had an exercise. I was coaching one of my first accountants, Brittany. And during the coaching session, I can't remember if it may be around March, we took inventory. And I took inventory of my life. Really, I already knew the purpose for my life, but I was taking another inventory, just looking at, okay, what are all the things that what are all the skills that I have? Where was I born? What did my parents do? Where did I go to school? What type of schools did I go to? What's unique about me? Where have I been? There was so many things that I discovered in the inventory, and I probably still missed some things. See, once you take inventory, you start to see, a contrast of your life and kind of what's there. Now, here's the thing. I'm at the point where anything that was negative about me, it's gone. It's been gone. So I don't even have to look at that. Those things don't even matter. But if you're at a place where you still kind of carry some of those things, things that, I'm still holding on to this, then you got to forget the past, guys. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to forget the past. That's one of the chapters. That's one of the chapters in the transformation book. And I'm going to announce the name of the book soon, as well as give you an opportunity to order it, to pre-order the book, because that book is going to transform people's lives in 2024. I already know it. Because when God asked me to write it, he says, write this book. And he said, when I write the book, he was going to bless it. Now, here's the thing. The only way I'll really know is if I actually go through with it. And so I had to go through with it. Had to actually, sit down and write it. Had to actually decide that this was going to be something that people would get something from. And I believe that. Now, in the meantime, you want to unlock your financial mindset? Would you like to do that? Go to thehealthyaccountants.com, right? Go to thehealthyaccountants.com. Right on that homepage, you will see, Get Your Breakthrough Now ebook ready for you. Click it. It's free. Download it, read it, and listen, right? There's an audio version of it as well. Read it and listen to that book. I know that book is going to change lives as well. And it's just it's just a 30-page ebook. It's not long. You can get through that in an hour or less. So if discovering your God-given purpose is important, go back and read Jeremiah 29. Read Jeremiah 29. And from reading Jeremiah 29, say to yourself, you know what? If God knows his plans for me, and his plans are going to prosper me, like there's an end that's good. Whatever it is, it's already expected and it's good. If that's the case, then what do I need to do? I need to pray. I need to allow God to hear me so I can seek him with all my heart. See, when you seek God with all your heart, he becomes available to those that seek him. Because when you seek, you'll find. And when you knock on the door will open. So discover your God-given purpose starting today. Don't allow another day to go by without saying to yourself, do I know my purpose? I don't know. Today is the day to discover what my purpose is. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the Account for Life podcast. This is Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the Healthy Accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.